Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Our title sponsor is Able Auctions. It is Tuesday. All of our guests, including Dan Murphy, standing by. All of our guests today sponsored by Parker Marine. Make your boating experience the best it can be. For more info, visit parkermarine.ca. Just before Murphy, you had a little update there?
Well, my buddy in Langley, Tony, says Tiger Williams offered Mano $10,000 for number 22. Mano declined, was demoted to the minors, and then Tiger took 22.
And Bob Mano went on to play for the Leafs, I believe.
Bob Mano was a good defenseman.
Smooth skating defenseman.
Yeah, Bob Mano was good. I liked him in a Canuck uniform.
Speaking of the Canucks, let's bring in Dan Murphy, longtime Canucks television host from Rogers Sportsnet. Murph, our first ever guest. You're back.
Look at him.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I haven't done much work like you guys, but I'm ready to get back to work, that's for sure. I need a routine. I'm driving my family crazy.
How many years now, Murph, have you done the job on Sportsnet?
I think my first year with the Canucks was 01-02, the year they lost to Detroit in the first round. That was my first year as a host. I was with the Grizzlies the year before that, so 2 decades. Yes.
What a year to break in. That playoff series against the Red Wings was something else.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the problem with that was I did the first round of the playoffs with Detroit and Vancouver. Then I went back and did 2 subsequent rounds, including the Cup final in Detroit. And then I went back and did the Canadian Senior Golf, which was in Windsor. So I spent way too much time of my summer in that part of the world.
Things have changed. You've got tenure. Hey, do you know what?
Exactly.
Rookie camp starts on Thursday for the Canucks. Do you have any idea what to expect from Vasily Podkolzin?
I mean, that's the one that everybody's got to be watching. That's the main guy I'm excited for. I mean, Klimovich, I'd like to see him as well. But I think like last year going into the season, I'm not sure what people thought about Höglander. There was, is he NHL ready? And I think most people have said probably not to play on the second line. I think going to this camp, most people believe that Podkolzin is NHL ready. It's just a matter of where he fits in Travis Green's lineup. Can he climb as high as second line? There's a chance. If Travis Green doesn't want to play perhaps 2 smaller guys like Garland and Höglander on the same line, then maybe Podkolzin gets a crack. But I think he's going to be an everyday NHLer. I think fans will love him and Garland for the way that they'll do what all fans wanted Jake Virtanen to do. And they go to the net relentlessly, skate hard, go to the net, puck pursuit. And I think I'm very excited to see him bring that to the NHL. Can he finish at a good enough rate in the NHL? Probably not to start. But I think in terms of effort, skating, and the things he's going to bring, I think he's an NHL everyday NHLer for sure.
I know not all their prospects are at the rookie camp. There's 12 of them that are going to the camp. Other players have other commitments. But the Canucks have hit on a lot of their draft picks. And, Pettersson, Hughes, Rathbone, Demko. So obviously they're not going to be there. How would you describe the Canucks prospect pool right now?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what you call prospects. If the guys are now players in the league, then they're not prospects anymore. I think Rathbone, you still have to consider a prospect likely. And I think there's a good chance he'll be the third pair lefty to start this season. So that might be another guy who's off the prospect list. And since so many of these young guys have hit, I think that their prospect pool, especially on defense, is a little bit thin right now. But I mean, that's not an indictment. It just means that their last draft picks have been good enough to ascend into the National Hockey League. So, I think it's much better than it used to be. I mean, Donnie and Rick, remember back like in 2008, 2009, 2010, they had all these great veterans. They had a great team. And then every year, the only guy they trotted out to Penticton was Cody Hodgson. It seemed like he was the only guy every single year that people cared about. Now, if they would have been some of these camps, minus COVID, the last couple of years, I think there would have been a lot more excitement because some of these younger players would have been at these camps.
Okay, Murphy, you mentioned a name there, Jack Rathbone. It sounds like you expect him to win that training camp battle, the expected training camp battle for that left side position on the third pairing, Rathbone versus Juolevi.
Yes, he's a better skater. I think he's better offensively, and I'm not a capologist, but the stuff you read that if he's sent down before the season starts, it's tougher to call him up later on because of his bonuses will have to be factored into the cap. So there is a financial component as well that the Canucks have to think about. But I think we saw enough last year to believe that he can play or at least start at the NHL level. Whether or not he is going to be in that spot ahead of Julevi and or maybe even Brad Hunt, a guy who's a veteran, remains to be seen. But I kind of expect him to have that starting spot when things open.
Murph, you've covered a ton of training camps. Some big names over the years haven't been there. How concerned are you about Pettersson and Hughes right now?
I mean, I don't think I'm concerned. We've seen it going back to, even Horvat and Besser, right? Like the leverage they have right now is time, the players. Of course, there's the offer sheet possibility with Pettersson, and that is a little bit of leverage as well. But I mean, what was it with Horvat in 2017? He got his done 4 days before
late
camp.
September,
yeah. Yeah, they got him done, and then I think even Besser
3 days
in 2019.
Camp. Yep.
Yeah, it was their first preseason game. I remember trying to get the numbers out before we were doing our opening into that game in Victoria against the Calgary Flames, I think. So, that's their leverage. And I'll say one thing. I mean, obviously with what Benning has done this offseason, he wants these guys in the lineup to start, right? He doesn't want them missing camp or preseason games. Travis Green doesn't either. And I will say this. I mean, Pettersson and Hughes are, their agencies are going to try and get top dollar, no question. But I think both these guys are hockey nerds. And I both think guys are not super happy with the way things went last season as a team for sure, and even individually. I mean, Hughes did not take a step forward. Pettersson had the slow start and the injuries. I think both these guys want to get out there and prove that they belong in this echelon of the money that they're going to get. So I think both sides, the desire is to get the deal done. There's just not the real super pressure points quite yet.
Murph, Carolina announced today they're 100% vaccinated, players, management, everybody. I don't know if the Canucks haven't released the numbers. What are your thoughts on, because you got to travel, I mean, what are your thoughts with the whole situation?
Well, I mean, obviously, when we saw what the NHL put out, I mean, it's so penalizing for players who are unvaccinated, especially if they get COVID, because it's basically like a suspension. You don't get paid. So they're basically saying the league that you can be unvaccinated, but basically if you're unvaccinated, you have none of the freedoms of your teammates. So I think even if there's some hesitancy, and I only think there's a handful of guys, maybe, but I'll try to find that out that haven't been vaccinated yet. I just think it's so punitive for these players if they catch it that you'll end up going to get vaccinated. I mean, we saw what happened with this team at the end of last year. And I know that if you had COVID, some people say you got the antibodies, but you still have a lot more protections if you take the vaccine, even if you had COVID. So, I think it's great, especially with these teams going down to the States, back to the regular, the divisions again. I think you'll see most of these teams. I mean, you look in the NFL, the Saints, are they going to have to, forfeit a game and game checks this week because of what's gone on? Like no player wants to be the guy that brings that into the locker room. So I think that it's just too punitive and guys are going to get it.
Yeah, Kahari Jones, Alouette's head coach, testing positive for COVID, so he won't be on the sidelines on Saturday. Very quickly, Murph, Ian McIntyre, Sportsnet, a fellow co-worker of yours, writes an article on Thatcher Demko. What's your confidence level in him?
Very high. I talked to him a little bit a couple of weeks ago. There was an all-staff kind of luncheon, and he was a Q&A. And I just get – it's just so cerebral, right? I think that he's he says the right things because he believes in the right things. Yeah. And he's saying last year was such a mental grind that he's going to be – there's no chance he can go worse than that in terms of how you get through something mentally. And physically, he's put in the work. I think we've seen the progression with him. Not all players kind of seems like it has been linear. And he's gotten better every single year. And now it's just how many games can he handle? Can he have 55 games to start? We'll have to see. But in terms of one player that I do have confidence in for sure, it's Thatcher Demko. I just think there's too much talent. Yeah. And I think he's just too bright to let this opportunity go by the wayside.
2+ decades at Sportsnet. Look at the background. Look at that house there. I mean, that's just amazing. Yeah. Just amazing.
Murph,
what's that like?
Murph, last question. Would you?
I didn't last 2 decades at Sportsnet.
On and off. Murph, last question. Would you wear jeans to a wedding?
I would not. I can't remember what I wore to Don's wedding way back when, but I know it wasn't jeans.
I was there. It wasn't jeans.
But so he's taken a lot of heat for that, and rightly so. But let me say this: I'll give you some company of something that I did that was stupid. Coming back from Toronto, I'll keep this quick. Pearson Airport, come back from the tennis. Okay. I get home the next day, It was chaos at the airport. I get an email from Pearson saying, we believe that we have something of yours in the lost and found. I'm kind of panic. I go to my bag, my passport's there, my Nexus card's there, my laptop's there. I'm like, what could I have left? So I started looking and I went, oh no. Went back, looked again. I took the wrong laptop.
Oh.
Some poor soul.
Hey, what was on the laptop, Murph?
I couldn't get into it, but
Yeah.
Oh,
the guy was
right.
The guy was so nice. He was in Ontario. He was on a vacation, and I sent it out to him, and I got mine back. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? Like,
Yeah.
I've traveled more than 100 days a year in my life, and I take somebody else's laptop. It looked the exact same, but still no excuse.
He was nice. He was nice because he probably enjoyed what was on your laptop. He enjoyed the entertainment. Murph, thanks for this.
That's the work laptop. No danger.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay,
Sure.
okay, yeah. Okay. All right.
Murph, thanks for this, my friend.
Cheers, boys.
Again, coming through for us, Dan Murphy.